Hey, what's going on, parents? Welcome back, Teenager Tuesday. Teenager Tuesday. And for many of you, actually hundreds of you, you have no teenagers today, or you're getting your middle schooler back from middle school camp.
Yep.
For a few hundred of you, you're dropping off your high schooler at high school camp. And so we're obviously recording this early, but man, I'm so excited to see what God does at summer camp. I'm here with the one, the only, Kira Watson. Kira, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Kira, for the people who don't know you, they do know you, but they only know you in email form. Tell us your role. Tell us your role here at Hope. Give us a little bit of your story and what parents need to know about Kira.
Yeah, so I am the student admin here at Hope, so I get to help with camp and movement and mission trips and everything in between. I answer a lot of your questions via email, and I'm just really glad that I get to help you guys parent your teenagers to the best of your ability. I'm married, I have a dog and 2 cats. We don't have any kids yet, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and you've been at Hope for 5.5 years?
Yeah, almost
5.5
6.
years, almost all of them with us working together. So it's awesome. You're amazing, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast for today and the next 2 weeks. To give you a snapshot, today we are going to actually invite a lot of you. We're trying to get about 20 parents to be involved in this. And then next week, I'll give you what next week is. We're going to do a 2-part series on artificial intelligence, what to do with that, maybe some pitfalls to look for and everything. I'm very excited about next week's content. It'll be a 2-week thing. But today, we are going to talk a little bit about a beta testing thing that we need your help on. That we've talked about before, that I've talked with so many parents about, which is like a social media driver's license. You know, our phones carry so much more power than a car.
Yeah.
And yet I can find ways to mitigate and limit time, but I haven't found any resources to be able to hand to a parent and say, this will help you lead your student to manage their devices well, their social media, specifically social media well.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, it is. And so we've kind of been working on, we have the very beginning structures of a skeleton of a 4-part how to walk and lead your student through getting their driver's license when it comes to social media, allowing them to have social media. And again, we need your help. We're going to walk through the parts of it here in a second. However, we're hoping to get 10 people whose kids don't have social media yet.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the age, middle school, high school. 10 parents whose kids don't have social media, and 10 parents whose kids do have social media. Because we want to be able to resource on both, helping families get started, or maybe, it was something that was already there and we were tired of them asking, so we gave it to them. What do I do now? We want to be able to help both sets of parents. So Kira, walk us through part 1 of what this will start out looking like before we work with the beta testing.
Yeah, so our hope is that part 1 would really set the groundwork for kind of the rest of this process. And it'll start with, what is your goal of social media? Like, why is it important for your student to have social media is the main question that we're getting at with this part 1. What's their goal for using social media? If it's just that everyone uses it and to not be left out, that's probably like one of the main goals that they might have. But also, we don't want you to assume that. So we want you guys to ask this question to your students, why they want social media. And then a big thing, too, is writing down some pros for using social media to capture memories, to hold pictures. I use my social media a lot for like different albums and stuff like that. And so
you do.
I know that a lot of students use it as like photo dumps so that they can then delete their photos off of their phone and it doesn't take up as much storage. So that might be one of them, or engaging in community, being present with the people around them. Entertainment, connecting with friends, all of that sort of stuff. And then social media can also be an added bonus to relationships too. But time online can't replace in-person connection. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of having those conversations with our students, right? Of why do you want this social media? And it's a great addition to, but it can't be a replacement for these things. And then talking through some next steps of having them write down what their goal for social media is as kind of the action step for part 1.
Yeah. And that, I think it's so important to start with something that is a positive.
Yeah.
Hey, what is good about it? What is hopeful about it? Part 2 is kind of dives into tensions of it. But that part 1 is really like, in their words, during this part, we don't want to put words into our students' mouths. In their words, like what is their ultimate goal? Like Kira said, is it a negative thing? I don't want to be left out, or can we take that and spin it into a positive thing of all the different stuff that she mentioned,
right.
Memories, sharing, all that. Part 2 is going to be the tensions of social media to manage, which will be mental health dangers. That comparison. How many young girls have you talked to, Kira, about comparison? They saw someone on social media and this life and that life, and
so many.
The addiction aspect of it, the obviously inappropriate content that is online, whether it's a physical, something that is kind of close to pornography or is pornography, or even just the ideology that is not something that you, or theology it's off Christianity, right? We know of those dangers, but do we kind of excavate, like you're digging up it and really looking at it and kind of lean into that need for approval.
Right.
This part will also talk about like how much of a time drain it can be, which would even help us as adults to look at. How much of a time drain is it for me? Going to like the risk, hey, what you post online never actually goes away, whether it disappears or not, as well as like the risk of reputation. We're not the youth team, but here at Hope we're hiring right now in a few positions. And the first thing people do when hiring is they get a resume, look at the resume. The second thing is look at social media. Yeah. So like, just talking through those tensions. And it's not saying because of these things you can't do it, because the reality is we can't ever keep it away from our kids in the long term. But we can help them like learn about those tensions and how to manage it.
Yeah, which is so good, because I mean, the last thing that you want is for your kids to have social media in secret. It would be so much better for you to have the knowledge and to be able to work through all of these things with them, versus them being like, well, I really want this, and maybe my mom won't know, so I'm just gonna do it on my own, and then I'll delete the app, and they'll never know, and then I'll just re-add it whenever I want to look at things. So part 3 goes into a little bit of setting expectations, and talking about the value of unplugging, which again, I think a lot of these things are also going to be so helpful for us as adults to kind of walk through.
Best way to learn is to teach.
Right. Yes. That's what I was just about to say. So knowing the value of unplugging and healthy habits, and keeping devices out of bedrooms at all times. Thinking twice before posting, not just posting because it's on your mind at that moment. There are so many posts that I have on Facebook specifically that seemed like such a good idea when I was in high school, and I go back and I'm like, oh, that is so cringy. Like, I wish that I did not post that.
So I'm thankful that when I was in high school, I had MySpace, and now it's gone. So I don't have to cringe at myself.
Thankfully Facebook's making its way out. So maybe I'll get there eventually. Privacy settings. This is another huge one. So many students don't use privacy settings, and so we want to make sure that they know the value of it, and they know that it's to keep them safe and to help prevent bad things from happening. And then putting time limits on consumption. So like putting time limits on how many times that they can get on there. Jonathan Haidt. It says 2 hours or more a day leads to an unhealthy mental state in teens and in adults. So
his research is insane.
And so many of us, I feel like, consume more than 2 hours a day of social media. So, making sure that they keep it to 1 hour a day or less of watching and scrolling is so important. And then also making sure that they're using social media to build others up and not cutting them down. And being Jesus
Yeah,
on social
yeah.
media.
Yeah, it's working on those operating. How do you operate with social media at that point? And
Yeah.
which really gets us to part 4 of this training that we're working on that we need your help with, is training time. And this whole process, people listening to this might feel a little bit shocked or like unrealistic about this. I am hoping that the training that we're working on will end up being a minimum of a 3-month process.
Yeah.
Minimum. It'd be great if it was 6 months, if it was years. The thing that really put this on my mind is a friend of mine. He was like, I trust my daughters, but I don't trust social media. And so he does it. He allows them to have social media, but it's on his phone and only his phone. And so this part 4 is the training time. It's the two of you working on putting a profile together. It's the two of you working on the first few posts, and then them only being allowed to post on your phone.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you're helping them think twice about it. It's kind of putting into practice. Part 4 is really putting into practice part 3, which part 3 is really kind of working on a structure of the first 2 parts.
Yeah.
So first 2 parts, there's a decent amount of talking, but there's action steps in each one. And then part 3 is really working on a structure on how to manage social media without it controlling you. And then part 4 is that training time that hopefully lasts a while. So parents, we need your help.
Yes.
Working on this more and more, I was like, man, Kira and I have been talking about this for months. And we're like, man, in order to know if this is actually worth it and good and be helpful for people, we need people to help us make it better.
Yeah.
So we would love your help to make it better. Again, we need 10 people, 10 parents whose kids don't have social media, 10 parents whose kids do, and we would love to work on this training with you. We are at summer camp this week.
Yep.
So we won't reply to your email probably. However, if you want to be a part of this, simply send an email to wperry@hopefellowship.net. Shoot an email to me. I know sometimes parents who message me on Instagram, that works too. The worst way to get a hold of me is messaging me on Facebook because I don't have Messenger on my phone. So anyways, parents, don't miss next week. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. But this week, Kira, sign us off.
Parents, you can do this. You are not alone. God is with you, and so are we.